What's up you guys, it's Ben and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything there is related to selling on Amazon. So, I wasn't actually planning to make this video. However, over the last few days, I've watched probably about 10 to 20 of my own videos just to see where I can improve. And boy, is there a lot for me to improve, but let's not go down that rabbit hole. But also what I noticed that majority of my videos, if not all of them, are all about education in regards to Amazon FBA. And that means, tutorials, do this, don't do that, this is what can happen, this is what you don't want to happen, and so on and so forth. And this is partly what I wanted my channel to be, but what I also want my channel to be is to encourage you to take action about starting to sell on Amazon. And I want to get you to believe in yourself that, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. And this is kind of the underlining message of this whole video, is basically to tell you guys that I am no different to any one of you. I'm no smarter, I'm no luckier, I'm no cleverer, no nothing at all. I am exactly the same as you, and I was in exactly the same spot as you were 4 or 5 years ago. Now, what the reason for this video effectively is to me become a little bit more relatable. Instead of just reading off what I prepared beforehand about a tutorial and stuff, I actually wanted to give you my own story. So hopefully you can relate and see for yourself that there's no difference between me and some of you. And I'm pretty sure by hearing my story out, there'll be parts of it that you can relate to yourself. Now, chances are majority of you watching this video are haven't started selling on Amazon and literally just researching around, which is absolutely fine. B, potentially are quite serious about it and potentially have started buying into a new product or whatever. Or C, have literally just started and have been selling 1 to 2 or 3 products. This is why I'm going to focus majority of my story in relation to the very beginning, as opposed to speaking to, what it's like selling 50, 60 products out there, because truthfully, not many of you can relate to that right now. So with that being said, guys, let's get straight to it. So, my name is Ben, I'm 28 years old, and I am actually from Lithuania. Now, the reason why I say where I'm from is because it's actually quite important in my story, in my opinion. For those of you that don't know, Lithuania has actually been a part of Soviet Union right up until I think 1991. Now, fortunately, I myself haven't lived under that Soviet Union communist regime. However, my parents, my grandparents, my aunties, my uncles have. Basically, all of the people that effectively have influence over my life have lived under a communist regime. And for those of you that don't know, a communist regime is very, very different to what we live under here in the UK. But the 4 things that I was told when I was little is, number 1, never, ever, ever take any risks whatsoever. The whole point of you is effectively to get a good job, to get educated, and to work your way up by staying in that job for 10, 20, 30 years. Matter of fact, my grandmother stayed in one job for over 30 years. Risk taking is not going to work because you're just going to be stressed out, you're going to lose money, and you're actually going to be worse off than if you didn't do it in the first place. Next up, savings. Save, save, save. No matter what happens, you always have to have some money left aside, because who knows, you may lose your job, you may lose your income, you may have a car crash, you may have an accident, the roof may fall off, whatever. Always have some money set aside. Next up, education. Now, education, what they meant by that, and this was a big one, education in terms of getting a degree, because in their eyes, education was really simple. If you get a good degree, you're going to get a good job. Get a good job, you're going to have a good salary, and with a good salary, you're going to have a better way of living. And last but not least, hard work. And this was a big one for my parents. Don't be lazy. Always work hard. If your boss asks you to work 6 days a week, do it. If you have to work 10, 12, 14 hours a day, then do it, because this is how people are going to get ahead. This is how people are going to progress their career, earn more money, get a better living, and have a better way of life. All of these things at the age of 28, having now had my own experience, my own life experience, I completely disagree. And let me explain why. Number 1, risk. Ask any mildly successful to a very successful person as to what their opinion of risk is. And they will tell you that risk is necessary for you to get ahead and for you to be successful. Matter of fact, in my opinion, risk is essential. Calculated risk is part of life effectively, and we always have to figure out where risks are responsible and which ones are not responsible. I'm not telling you to start going gambling. I'm not telling you to start investing all money in crypto, whatever, because these things are not in risk in proportion. However, when it comes to selling on Amazon, guys, you will have to take some risk, and you have to be comfortable with that risk. You have to do as much information gathering, as much product research as possible to hopefully see that the risk is in your favor. And in my personal opinion, I find it quite funny because a lot of the people that are risk averse, i.e. they don't want to take any risks, don't realize that the two biggest risks that they will ever take is first marriage, which I find interesting given that a lot of people marry with a year or under knowing the person. And the truth of the matter is that we all change. The person that you marry may be very different 5, 10, 15 years ago, and getting together, getting that financial commitment together is very risky. And secondly, kids. I mean, do I even have to go there? Next up, savings. Now, just given the fact that we are on this personal sort of video effectively where I speak a little bit more about myself, have a think about how much money I have actually saved up. Given the fact that I've been doing Amazon full-time for a while now, and I've been running a 7-figure Amazon FBA business, 50 grand, 100 grand, maybe 150 grand is in my bank account. No, 5 grand. That's all I have in my personal savings account at the moment. Where's the rest of the money? All of it is invested. Okay, all of it has been spread around trying to work it and get more money for me. Now, why is that the case? Ben, you know, what happens if you have a car crash? What happens if you have an emergency and you need money to be pulled out? Well, in my personal opinion, and you can kind of relate to this potentially yourself, over the last 10 years or maybe 12 years that I've been kind of financially independent, not getting any money from my parents, you know, how many emergencies have I had? Yes, I have had a car crash and the insurance covered it. Yes, I have had an accident, but then I went to the NHS and got that sorted. Yes, I've had lost my job, but then I got a new one. Yes, I've had my washing machine broken and my fridge broken, and then I just bought a new one on the credit card. Majority of these emergencies that we think of that we need so much money for are actually way blown out of proportion. And think about it this way, guys, in my opinion, and put yourself in my shoes. Let's say you have 50 grand, okay? What would you rather have? 50 grand in savings, basically sitting there collecting dust, not getting any more money, nothing like that at all, is actually being eaten away by inflation, which I believe at the moment is at 5%, or investing into companies that I've researched, that I've done calculated PE analysis, and I know I'm going to be there for the next 5 to 10 years. I think the answer is pretty obvious. And because the answer is pretty obvious, and because I have started investing 2-3 years ago, I have already almost, if not doubled my investment. Okay, I'm now over 100% up from what I started. And if I ever have something that is really, really necessary where I have to take a large amount of cash straight away, I can easily just sell off some of those investments and use that as my emergency fund. Have a think about it, guys. Put yourself in and have a think really what you should be doing with your money as well. Don't start collecting money too much all in one place. Don't have and be sitting around 10, 20, 30 grand. Do something with it. Whether it's investing to Amazon, whether it's investing to shares and stocks, whether it's investing in property, get your money to work for you. Next up, education. And this was a big one for my parents because it really mattered to them so much. And because of them, I actually went and got a university degree, and I'm now sitting on about £20,000 of debt. The reality of the matter situation is, guys, at the 21st century, okay, in my personal opinion, education and potentially academic education doesn't really matter anymore. In my personal opinion, as long as you can read, write, and count, that is all the education, the necessary education you're going to get from schools. The rest of the education, such as financial education, you can learn on the internet, through YouTube videos, reading books, whatever, and how to be a better person, a better partner, a better husband, a better individual, you can read through self-help books and so on. The things I've learned in university about business management, about business studies, has absolutely zero to do with how successful I am on Amazon FBA. Everything I learned about Amazon FBA came from YouTube, came from, speaking to people just through trial and error, through making my own mistakes. This is something that university will not accepted. They won't actually help you with at all. They will actually just teach you theory, in my opinion, and that's it. Now, there is, of course, an exception to that rule. If you're going to be a doctor, if you're going to be a lawyer, if you're going to be solicitor, dentist, whatever, one of these highly sought after positions, then in my personal opinion, university degree is necessary, if not essential, to enter that field. However, for most of us that just want to do something for ourselves and want to make money, then university degree, in my personal opinion, is completely pointless. If I could look back on now and choose between being at the age of 21 with a university degree, no work experience and 20, 30,000 pound debt, or being 21 with 5 years of work experience, no university degree, but being much better financially off, I think the choice is pretty obvious. And last but not least, hard work. And probably this is going to be the most controversial one out the lot, which is why I would really like for you guys to comment down below your thoughts. Let me ask you a question. If hard work is the main reason for somebody to be successful, then why people in China working 12, 14, 16-hour days are not all so wealthy? They definitely work hard. What about people in Africa? Same thing. Even people here in the UK working service retail jobs, sometimes working 6 days a week, easily clocking in 10 to 12 hours a day, are not as rich as they should be given the amount of work that they put in. Let me ask you another question. What if you and I have to do a task? That task for me takes 5 minutes to do, and for you it takes 5 hours to do. Should you be paid more because it took you much longer because you worked harder effectively? Or should we be paid the same? In my personal opinion, we should be paid the same. Just because I got to do something in 5 minutes that took you 5 hours doesn't mean that you should be paid more than me. And this is exactly what I'm getting at. In my personal opinion, working hard doesn't matter, and people don't care so much how hard you work. What they do care is results. It's as simple as that. And this is the truth when it comes to business. What matters to me, from my accountants, from my virtual assistants, from my partners, whatever, is the results. Whether they spent a day, an hour, or a minute on getting those results doesn't matter, okay? And put it this way, guys. Let's say right now with my experience, so which is why I kind of focus more on work efficiency effectively and working smart as opposed to working hard. And quite frankly, I have to be honest with you guys, I don't work that hard anymore. Put it this way. For you guys that are starting off product research at the moment, it might take a week, 2 weeks to do effective product research. For me, it takes about 2 days. It might take for you about 10 days to speak to suppliers to negotiate to get the best possible price. For me, again, it takes about 1 to 2 days. Why? Because I know my methods. I know what to ask. I know exactly what I'm looking for. And with time, with focusing on working as efficiently as possible, I've been able to reduce the amount of time it takes me to product research, speaking to suppliers, even doing videos on YouTube. Other UK YouTubers do around 1 video a week on Amazon FBA. I'm able to do 4 videos a week pretty easily. Why? Because I figured out a way to potentially narrow down the amount of time it takes me to do these videos. I basically pre-record all in one session. I do all the thumbnails all in once and schedule them to be uploaded throughout the week. That way I'm working much more efficiently. I'm putting out far more content. Of course, the quality can be debatable, but at the end of the day, I'm still putting out far more information out there for you guys to watch. So always, guys, think about how can you work smartly, how you can work efficiently. Don't sacrifice the quality of your work, but just see where you can potentially cut the amount of time it takes you to do a particular task. And my life story is pretty simple, guys, and pretty average. I was living in Lithuania from 1 to the age of 14. I came to the UK without speaking a word of English, and then for the next 10 years, I was basically in education. I was in GCSEs, actually wasn't doing very well. My highest grade was about a B, and I definitely did get a few E's and U's in my GCSEs. Did my A-levels, again, flopped them, went to university, scraped through a 2-1, and then went into the world of work. And of course, with most people that finish university degrees and can't actually get a job in the field of their study, I moved into sales/recruitment. Now, recruitment, I absolutely hated, and I was doing that for 6 years. I hated the nature of the work. I hate selling people. I hate, speaking and kissing ass to various hiring managers and so on and so forth. I didn't like the fact that I had to wake up at 6 o'clock, come home at 7 o'clock, go to the gym, come home, and then go to sleep. And that was pretty much it from Monday to Friday. And then I spent my weekends basically catching up on rest, catching up on sleep, and spending a little bit of time with family. All of these things I was doing whilst saving up every single penny I could get. But things started to change when I got my girlfriend. When I actually met my girlfriend and we moved into our 1-bedroom flat here in Watford, things changed. And the reason why things changed was because all of a sudden my bills went from £200-300 a month, because everything else was covered by my parents, all the way up to £1,500 a month, given that I had to pay for the mortgage, the council tax, the ground rent, and all the other things that come with living in your own place. And this is where I actually had to really dig deep and think about it. Do I want for the next 40 years to be doing a 9-to-5, or more like 8 to 6 really, and have my girlfriend do the same thing, where we don't actually get to see each other much throughout the day on the weekdays, and then on the weekends we do our chores, i.e. shopping, i.e. cleaning, and so on and so forth? Or is there something else to life? Is there a way for me to potentially leave my 9-to-5 and do something for myself? Now, I don't actually know how I got into Amazon FBA or how I came across it, but I remember reading an article about somebody in America selling these Nerf guns that they sourced from China onto Amazon and was able to make a lot of money. This is when I realized that there's such a thing called fulfillment by Amazon, where you basically send all the products into their warehouses and then fulfillment gets done by themselves. And this is what piqued my interest. This is when I started watching various YouTube videos on my way to work and on my way back from work to see what this whole basically business model is all about. And as the time gone on, I got more and more interested in it. Now I have had some money saved up, so I was willing to take that risk. And after watching videos for about a month, I think, I went there, and instead of just buying a product, I actually bought a course. Now, the course, in my personal opinion, wasn't the best because it was a little bit outdated. But what mattered to me is the fact that I actually spent £600 on the course. And what mattered was the fact that I actually spent my hard-earned money onto something. And at that point, I told myself that I'd much rather try, give my all, and fail than not try at all. Because if I bought the course and I didn't actually end up trying, buying a product, whatever, then that money would have been completely wasted. So after watching the course, which did have a lot of useful information on it, I went up and actually started doing product research. Now, the product research took about 2 to 3 weeks to do, and then eventually I worked up the courage and pay the supplier. Now, paying the supplier was really difficult because this was something that I never done before. I spent £1,200 on my very first product, paying somebody in China who I don't know who they are. I haven't spoken to them for very long. I don't know how shady these people are, especially with all the information out there saying how many Chinese scammers out there. And for the next 2 weeks, I have to be honest, I was very, very nervous because I actually don't know what I'm going to be receiving. I don't know what the product is going to be. Is it going to be of good quality? Am I going to like it? Is it going to sell? Most importantly, am I going to be able to sell it at a profit? There were so many unanswered questions for those 2 weeks. Gladly, the fact that I actually was air shipping it, so instead of waiting 2 weeks, I could have easily waited 2-3 months. So I was glad to get that product air shipped. And I will never, ever, ever forget this. One day my parents call up and say, hey, your parcels have arrived. Your 3 boxes have arrived. And we all looked at it together, and imagine just me, my girlfriend, my mum, my grandmother, my dad, and my brother just looking at these 3 boxes, pulling out one of the items. And my mum pulled me aside, and I'll never ever forget this. And she said, what the hell are you gonna do with these now? How are you possibly going to get rid of these 600 units? And how the hell are you going to make money? What on earth were you thinking? I told you not to do this. And this is really, really important for you guys to know, because this is what I had. I had basically people that were going to support me. If I had to get them to label the products, send them off, receive units, whatever, they were going to do it for me. No questions asked, because family supports family. And this is exactly the kind of household I was living in. However, believing in you is a very, very different story. And this is where a lot of you will probably be able to relate. For all of you that probably have been starting to sell on Amazon, but didn't actually have any e-commerce or just business experience in the past, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. When you are starting off a business, people may support you, but they will definitely not believe in you. At least most of them won't believe in you. Matter of fact, my own girlfriend didn't believe in me, and for a very good reason, because I didn't have any business experience before. I did not know what I was doing exactly. We did not know how well it's going to go, and so on. As the results start to come in, slowly but surely people start to change their opinions. And once you start showing them your sales, once you start showing them profits, and most importantly, once they see that you're buying a second product, a third product, a fourth product, people's opinions change. But for all of you guys that have doubters out there, for all of you guys that think, that have, close relatives telling you, hey, don't do it, you're just going to lose money, you're just going to potentially lose it all, and you're going to be worse off than you would have if you started. They're coming from a good place, but they don't actually have that drive that you do. And from their experience, having never ran a business, you're much better off playing it safe just by doing what you've been doing over the last 5, 10, 15 years or however. And this is really, really important, guys, for you to know. Now, for all of you guys that have watched this video until the very end, it's really, really important to you guys to know as well one more thing. And this is probably something that I didn't think of actually adding to this video, but I think it's important to know. One of my students back 2 weeks ago on a consultation call before buying a 6-month mentorship asked me, Ben, honestly, tell me, what is the success rate of your students? What is the success rate between people that pass and fail on Amazon FBA? How many of your students are currently selling? And I had to really think about it, and I had to give him an honest answer. And the honest answer was around 65% are currently selling on Amazon and 35% are not. And he said, wow, that's a pretty low rate given how successful you are. Is there something wrong with the mentorship, and so on and so forth? And the truth is, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the mentorship and nothing wrong with the courses or anything like that at all. Whether or not you will pass or whether or not you will succeed on Amazon depends on you. If you succeed, it's your fault. If you fail, it's your fault, okay? It's not my fault. It's not the economy's fault. It's nobody else's fault. And this is what I want you guys to remember is always, always, always take responsibility for whatever you do. If you try a product and it's failed, then that means maybe it wasn't the right product. Maybe the product research wasn't correct. Maybe you just got the wrong product at the wrong time. If you were successful, then all credit goes to you because you probably have had doubters in you. You probably had people telling you not to do it. You probably, you actually took the time and the risk and you spent the money to a Chinese supplier who you haven't spoke to and basically went through all the steps that I went through, and you deserve every bit of credit that is coming to you selling and running an Amazon FBA business long term. So to sum up this video effectively, guys, 2 messages that I have. Number 1, if I can do it, you can do it. It's as simple as that. And really, really believe in yourself. This is really, really important. And secondly, and more importantly, if not, all credit and blame and responsibility goes to you. So stop blaming the, hey, time is not right, hey, I failed because product wasn't great, the product quality wasn't great, whatever. Every single excuse you could come up with, you could have potentially avoided, and every single reason why you succeeded is exactly because of you. And with that being said, guys, that's pretty much it for today's video. I really, really hope you found it useful. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.